Welcome everyone on Monday, April 24th, 6 p.m. If we can have a roll call to establish a quorum, and then we will have open up this meeting for a public hearing.
Mickey Schneider.
Here.
David Mitchell.
Here.
Terry McClung.
Here.
Bob Thomas.
Here.
Christy Kendrick.
Here.
Peg Adamson. Here. We have 6.
All right, we have a quorum, and this meeting is opened up for a public hearing. If we have anybody here to discuss the rates for services for water and sewer. No one out in the hallway.
Wow.
If there's no one here for the public hearing, we have a letter that was written by a resident that I would like to ask our city clerk to read into the record on reference of the public hearing. Madam Clerk?
Yes, this letter is from Susan Osborne, who resides in both Wichita and Eureka Springs. Eureka Springs Mayor and City Council. I am a property owner and part-time resident of Eureka Springs, and I love this town. I first visited here as a 5-year-old with my parents and have been coming often ever since. 5.5 years ago, I realized a lifelong dream, and my husband and I purchased a small cabin here. I recognize that no one wants to see a rate increase in any city utility. It can be difficult for us retirees. However, I also recognize that safe and readily accessible water and sewer service is our most important utility, a must. Personally, I feel like the Diane Keaton character in Baby Boom, one of my favorite 80s movies, when she said after her water source gave out in a small Maine town house, "I don't care where the water comes from, I just want to turn on my faucet and it's there." In today's world, especially in older communities, our infrastructure and water supply need to be protected and updated. It's expensive, just as I'm sure it was when the pipes were first laid in the 1800s. Although I do not receive city sewer service, I do receive city water. I recognize my water bill will increase with the new proposal. I also understand that the costs may partially cover sewer service, and I'm okay with this. I have lots of friends in Eureka Springs, and I shop and eat and worship and visit at city addresses. I appreciate your willingness to make the tough decision and propose an increase. I've looked at the cost of water for other similar towns, and there is a wide variance. Many of these towns charge more for water and sewer than Eureka Springs. Coincidentally, at my Wichita, Kansas home, we also received a notice that our water and sewer rates will be increased for the very same reasons that you are considering an increase for Eureka Springs. It may be a tough call, but I support a decision for a fee increase. Susan K. Osborne.
Thank you. There being nobody else, I declare the public hearing closed. And we will reestablish as our normal meeting with Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have one item. You get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have one item that would be our resolution. What's your formal name? Resolution for...
The settlement?
Resolution for the settlement to add on that. That would be under new business, item number 5.
You do it?
Okay.
We would like to postpone number 2.
Number 2?
Until further notice.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, get a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved. Motion to approve the minutes of April 10th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any additions, corrections, deletions? If not, all those in favor of the minutes, to approve the minutes as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Regarding the commissions, we have Mike Maloney, Director of the CAPC, who's going to give us a updated report. So if you would come up, please, sir. We might have to stretch this a little.
Just pick it up,
It goes the other way.
You know.
put it on the
Does it go
table.
taller?
There we go.
We need a concrete block.
That's as far as it will go. Well, first of all, thank you for letting me attend your meeting this evening. I was given a gracious welcome to be at the council session this evening from David Mitchell. And the reason I'm here primarily is because we, in our last City Advertising and Promotion Commission meeting, had a very, very good month in the month of March. There was a lot of positive things that happened, and I wanted to go ahead and give you just a little bit of an overview of what happened. So what you've got is a bit of a condensed report. It looks like it's a lot, but I'll go through it pretty quickly. And if you do have any questions at any time, please don't hesitate to stop me. We had 37,000 and some change visitors during the month of March this year. That's up from February's 29,000. 37,000 is a pretty good number for Eureka Springs, particularly early in the season. The thing that makes that kind of remarkable is we started for the first time being able to take a look at our demographic breakdown of the types of people that were looking at our website. And if you notice in this little chart that I provided for you, if you look at what the age ranges are, we are scoring very well in the 25 to 34 age bracket. There had been some suggestions through some other surveys in Eureka Springs that perhaps we were not reaching the millennial generation as well as we should have been. But in fact, we have skewed much of our advertising and much of our direction to the millennial organization, and we find that these results are actually coming back to fruition. So we saw a great increase in our millennials in the 25 to 34 category, and then it breaks down pretty much as you see. So we're going to continue that effort. We're interested in the millennials for a lot of reasons. They're young, they have money, they have disposable income, they like to travel, they like to have fun, they like to vacation, and they love tourism. So those are the types of people that we are going to go after in a primary way, but don't mistake when I'm saying what you may think is we're not going to go ahead and just abandon the other groups of people that also are important to come to Eureka Springs, and that's the people that are as old as I am. Shifting our audience a little bit in what we see as who looks at our information. And we really didn't have a very good handle on that up until recently. Almost 80% of the people that look at our Facebook page are women. Almost 8 to 1. And when we took a look at a snapshot during the month of March, 55,960 women logged into our Facebook accounts just on one day versus only 8,800 men. And that trend held through for the entire month. So when we Facebook, and our typical fan base right now is about 65,000 fans, we know that we're reaching a tremendous amount of women. So what we're doing with women obviously is working quite well. We're real happy about that. Now, the good thing about this is also a consistent movement toward millennials as well. So, again, not sacrificing our other demographics, we're just reinforcing areas that we felt needed to be shored up. We instituted a program a couple months ago called Game Ball Tracking, being one of our commissioners. And what the idea was is to extend the reach of our advertising messages a little further out, 8 to 12 hours out as opposed to 4 to 6 hours. So we did some experimentation. We took 3 select cities. We took Omaha, we took Chicago, and Houston. And we did some specific research in those 3 different markets. We did 2 things. We've measured the results of our web activity, and in every one of those cities, we tripled the amount of viewership in the course of a month. But more specifically, in the case of Omaha, which we had the complete breakdown, as you see in this analysis, we reached 11,000 people just with a little 3-second video. So our numbers went up exponentially huge just in Facebook. Very economical to advertise in Facebook, works extremely well. So this month we're shifting a little bit. We're going to Cincinnati, Atlanta, and Nashville. Now you may ask why did we pick these towns? Part of the reasoning is XNA, an hour away, has 14 direct flights from all of these cities that come throughout the United States. So we're going to be touching Newark, for instance, San Francisco, other towns that we typically would have never ever thought to take a look at. But these people are coming to Northwest Arkansas. They're 45 minutes to an hour away. It doesn't take much to go ahead and reach out and grab these people. I wanted to touch this for a second on the Governor's Conference on Tourism, which was in February. I attended, along with a lot of other Eurekans. You've seen the red shirts before. There was a lot of red shirts in Little Rock during that event. It's always a good time to actually see the people that we engage with on the telephone and email, but to get up in front and be able to talk to them is good. It's good to be able to talk to the governor. It's good to be able to talk to Joe David Rice and our new A&P director. So we had a lot of great opportunities down there to make some good friends, and we were especially happy that Turpentine Creek won the Henry Award for Bootstrap. And if you know Tanya and you know Miranda, they were like two little girls. They were so excited about winning that award, and we could have not been more proud. They are probably our two biggest ambassadors for Eureka Springs that we have. This is their 25th year this year, and they've done a fantastic job of not only marketing Turpentine Creek, but being great ambassadors not only for Eureka Springs, but for the entire state of Arkansas. We also had an opportunity to meet with a collective that is bringing, I think, a very refined and very sophisticated form of the antique automobile show back to Eureka Springs in the month of September. This year we're expecting 400 cars. And I think that may be not necessarily a record, but it's certainly up from where it's been.
Yeah.
They've got a very dedicated group of people that are taking a very, very professional approach at this. They're car collectors. They know what they're doing. They've got some good marketing people on their side. They're out to bring a good crowd to Eureka Springs. And it'd be great to see these old cars back, and we're really excited about it. The CAPC was fortunate enough to be able to go ahead and give them some market support funds to help them out. So we're helping them kind of hand in hand to make this project work and be successful.
Mike?
Yes?
One thing, too, 50% of the profit from that goes to ECHO.
That's right. Yeah, they
That's
are
a big
very
deal.
generous organization.
Yeah.
So thank you, David, because that's a very good point. So it's not just to put the money in their pocket.
Right.
It is going to ECHO. A couple months ago, we hired an events coordinator. You probably are aware of that. He's been a busy guy. Andy Green is a fellow that we picked up from Bentonville. Very interesting career. 11 years as the road manager for REO Speedwagon. He was the former events coordinator for the city of Bentonville. Helped get Crystal Bridges off the ground. Andy's done some things that are rather remarkable. He's just a good guy. He knows the music business. He knows the entertainment business. So he's already booked out our entire new Basin Park music series through the year. And right now he's working on all the other festivals. This year we're going to add 2 new events to our curriculum, if you will. One is going to be a country concert. We haven't had a country concert in Eureka Springs in a long time. So we're going to bring country in. And we've got one more event that I can't tell you about at this point, but we are working on it. And we're excited about the possibility of joining forces with another organization to put music back into the auditorium. And that's really one of our goals, just FYI, is to utilize the services of the auditorium as best we can. To give you a little bit of an idea of what's coming up, May Festival of the Arts, I won't dwell a lot on that because you already know quite a bit about it, but it's a big darn deal. And we have almost 150 events going on during the month during May Festival of the Arts. Our TV coverage goes from Dallas to St. Louis to Kansas City to Little Rock to Shreveport to Oklahoma City and Tulsa to Wichita. We cover the entire region with that. Plus, we send out almost 500,000 impressions digitally to specific groups around the country, getting them enthused about what's going to happen. You're going to see some things down at Basin Spring Park that you've never seen before. I think you're all going to be excited about it and pleased with the final product. It should bring a lot of people to Eureka Springs. It's going to be a great tourist activity, and I think it's going to be one of the more exciting May Festival of the Arts we've had. I've already looked at the lineup for the parade, and I'm getting excited. It took me a while to get there, but now that I've seen what's happening and the people that are wanting to get on board, we're going to have a great Artrageous parade. And again, this year we're calling it Artrageous to the Max. And I'll remember Max Elbow and the contributions he made to art in Eureka Springs, and we're really dedicating this entire event to Max Elbow. Just a couple other things. We monitor all of the media that occurs in the United States that involves Eureka Springs. It's a global thing that we are not global, but it's a United States thing we do. Anytime the word Eureka Springs comes up, we get a hit on it. Typically during the course of a month, we can have as many as 5,000 to 6,000 stories run about Eureka Springs. On any given day, there can be tens of thousands of tweets. We don't even cover the tweets anymore. There's so many of them. Last month, we had a very, very good month. We had almost $165,000 worth of dedicated media to Eureka Springs, which reached almost 89 million people. So that's what the power of public relations does. And that's money that we don't have to spend because it's given to us by media because of the things that we do in Eureka Springs. Eureka Springs is a hot button right now for a lot of people. A lot of writers, a lot of journalists want to write about us. They want to know what's going on. At the next CAPC meeting, we're going to be rolling out a couple of different facets. One is called Vision 2022. And it's something that will have a final look in the middle of June. It's basically a white paper on a 5-year program for the CAPC to keep us on track. We have niche markets that we go after every month. We go after bicycling. We go after culinary. We go after lodging. We go after all kinds of things. We want to make sure that we continue to do those things and expand those efforts, but we also want to make sure that we continue our broad brushstroke to ensure that Eureka Springs is adequately represented in all facets of our advertising. It's something that we want to do on a quarterly basis, and we'll have a full report that you'll be able to take a look at by the end of June. I wrote a white paper in 2012 projecting what we would get to in 2015. I was off about $100,000, but that wasn't so bad. In 2022, I can't project where we'll be, but I can tell you that the numbers are going to go up. So we're going to be working aggressively to work that plan and make that plan work. And finally, there's just a lot of things that we do. It's hard to put them all into one, small report, but we interface with a lot of different organizations, such as the Northwest Arkansas Tourism Association, which has about a $116,000 budget, which is matched ×2 by the state of Arkansas. These are our neighbors in Fayetteville and Rogers and Springdale and Bentonville and Eureka Springs that contribute to that cause to drive traffic to Northwest Arkansas. The Northwest Arkansas Film Commission, which is another organization which is in its infancy right now, but it is a tax-exempt organization, has got legs underneath it. We hired Kai Roberts of Eureka Springs to help us do a dynamic look at what the resources were for the film industry. Film industry is a big-time thing. One good film in Eureka Springs is the equivalent of one great convention. Because if they bring in 400 or 500 people, they eat here, they buy their gas here, they sleep here, they do everything here. It's good money, it's a great business to be in. And Northwest Arkansas is deserving of that, and Eureka Springs in particular, because of all the diversification we have. Mayor's Arts Council is undertaking the wall back here, and I think you're going to see some great progress on it during May Festival of the Arts. The Eureka Springs High School students have taken on 6 of the big panels. These are 4x8s. And we're really excited about that. The panels have been up for about 3 years now, There's a little deterioration. We want to clean those up and make them look spiffy. This is a good time to do it during May Festival of the Arts. And I kind of closed on the note that the U.S. Army Band was here last month. It was a fantastic performance. I thought it was one of the best performances I've seen in the auditorium, and I was pleased with the turnout we had. Eric Harrison from the Democrat Gazette gave us a $20,000 PR article out of that performance. The only thing that topped that crowd was the crowd that we had Friday night in the auditorium for Springtime in the Ozarks. I could not believe how many people were there. They were excited, they were energized, they were pumped up, and I'm glad they came to Eureka Springs for the 41st year. Happy to answer any questions. I am pleased to be in the position I'm in. I have a lot of fun doing this, and I'm glad to be able to represent you for this city.
Thank you, Mike.
David? No, I just felt that because Mike had given that assessment at the last CAPC meeting, and it was so informative and uplifting, and I just wanted to be sure that as many people in this town as possible could see it, because a lot of people have views about the CAPC that I think this information may give them a new light to look at it.
Terry?
And along with that, much of this information, or pretty much all of it, is available on .biz.
CAPC.biz has this entire report, along with where we spend our money, our analytics for everything you see, all of our commercials, all of our artwork, CAPC.biz. It's all fresh and current and kept up. Yes, sir. Thanks, Terry. Good reminder. Thanks.
Hey?
I wanted to say I'm really happy that you're doing the analytics. It looks like it's almost like a Facebook analytics or Google analytics, which is, I don't know if that's what it is, but
It's both.
It's both, because you're really getting some very interesting statistics right here. And, I'm hoping that, you're saying that your market goes as far as Chicago, but, me being from Denver, it's like there is so much to go even like just the whole country. If you're doing it on social media, everybody gets it. But anyway, I wanted to say thanks for that, and I wanted to say thank you for the report. And this, my little thing, which is the Chamber of Commerce is looking to undertake a calendar creation.
Yes, I'm sorry I overlooked that, but
Please
they
go.
are. There
Yeah.
is a committee that the Chamber is putting together
Uh-huh.
to go ahead and take actually, I think another look at how a calendar can be created to supplement basically the entire city.
We'd
I
love
was
that.
in last night and the ex officio member of the Chamber. I have a fortunate opportunity to sit on some of their board meetings. It was discussed at the last meeting, and we hope that that's something that they can go ahead and get moving forward on.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then the music series that you have going. When you say a music series, is it like every weekend, or what is the music series at the Basin Park music series?
Well, we're really fortunate right now because of the 4 Saturdays in any given month, we have 3 Saturdays that are full.
Awesome.
First Saturday of the month, Angelo and Drumming in the Ozarks. Second Saturday right now is Art, so it's Art in the Ozarks. Third Saturday is our Basin Park Music Series, of which we last weekend brought Jack and Penny from Kansas City in. Next month is Grady Nichols from Tulsa, fantastic saxophonist. The fourth Saturday is the Mountain Light Dancers,
Awesome.
Emmett and Ray, that will be dancing. They had to kind of move this weekend because of the rain Saturday, but they danced on Sunday. I understand they had a great crowd for that. So what we're doing is we're programming something every Saturday, so when people go by Basin Spring Park, there's something to see and watch.
That's great.
And the great part is, it's free.
It is. That's wonderful, and it's just really exciting to have stuff happen there. And then more of auditorium stuff is happening. Is that what you're saying? You're trying to do something with the aud?
We are looking at the auditorium in every angle that we can, because the auditorium is a big investment for not only the CAPC, but for the entire city. We want the auditorium used. We want to make sure that people are there, seeing shows that they have seen just like they have over the past 30, 40 years. And I think that we're on a projectile right now where you will see that hopefully a little bit this year, but a whole lot in 2018. One of our issues is a lot of the good guys have already been booked.
Exactly,
in
and I
2017.
understand that.
But we're making a projection in 2018 to start booking early, so we will have headliners in the auditorium, certainly in 2017, but look out for 2018 because I think it's going to be a great success.
That would be just awesome. Thank you.
We're excited about it.
Thanks for the report, too.
Yes, ma'am.
Something else you may look at for 2018 is New Orleans is just now about to have its Jazz Fest, and it rolls into Memphis in May. And I think that you can pick up a lot of performers between those two festivals trying to fill up dates.
That's a great idea, and that's one of the things that we do look at is route throughs. One of the things we've learned is a performer would rather perform than sit in a hotel room and watch a rerun of Andy Griffith. So if we can pay them a few thousand, well, maybe Terry would rather watch it. But what we do know is they like to play. And they're very, very willing to go ahead. And if they're routing through and they're close, they'll come to Green Springs.
That's very good.
That's been the case time and time again. And that's one of the things that Andy Green is so very, very good at. And we're excited that he's on board to do just exactly that.
Any other questions?
It's my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Big bang.
All right.
Big bang.
Then outside of noting that we still have a few, got a vacancy in the hospital commission and also a vacancy on the HDC. So next we will be
At CAPC.
doing our public comments.
I'll go and get the name tag. I can call.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, Council, I was last here a little over 90 days ago, and I'm back here again about the American with Disabilities Act and the lack of compliance by the city by holding their meetings in inaccessible locations. 90 days has passed, and a couple things I'd like to point out and ask. There should be a designation of a responsible employee and an adoption of grievance procedures by the city, and I've not found anything online or in our city ordinances concerning that. So I'd like to find out what's going on with that, and there also should be a self-evaluation report every 3.5 years, and likewise I can find no mention of that through our city website and ordinances. Just to refresh your memory, the needs are, we need ingress and egress from parking areas to the meeting rooms, climate-controlled meeting rooms and waiting areas with adequate seating and space for assistance devices and/or persons providing assistance. Meeting rooms with adequate light, hearing, and visual assistance so that persons with disabilities may fully interact with the proceedings. Bathrooms at the site that are fully ADA compliant, and any other accommodations required by Title II. Last, I'd like to point out that since I've seen no action, there is a provision that decision must be made by the head of a public entity or his or her designee after considering all resources available for use in funding and operation of that service program activity. And if there is not to be compliance, it's to be stated in a written statement with the reasons for reaching that conclusion. And I'd like to request that letter from the city. I continue to ask you to set up a task force or some method of identifying other areas in which ADA needs to be met so that we can start addressing it as a city for use by not only citizens but visitors to our town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comments?
handouts for everyone at the table. Hi, my name is Lee Lujan. I live on North Main. I've been a city resident for 10 years. I'm just here to bring something to the city's attention. The music park down on North Main looks like hell. I have some pictures of what people saw just this last Easter weekend. It's one of the first things people see when dropping in from Missouri, and it's a disgrace. We're a tourist town and have to keep appearances in mind. Plainer Hill is nicely landscaped, but not everyone comes into town off of Highway 62. Some of you may know that my husband and I adopted the gardens several years back and put a lot of time and money into them. But then the city cut down all the plants and destroyed the irrigation lines, so there's no bringing those gardens back. I know that Public Works is severely short-handed and the Parks Department can't take on another park, so no one maintains the area properly. There are dead trees and limbs everywhere. The ground is very eroded and uneven. There's almost no grass, and the planters are cracked and missing many capstones. The musical sculpture garden there has turned out to be a failure. The instruments have been falling apart since they were first installed, and have also suffered from some damage. Mayor Pate put in a stage for a couple $1,000, I believe. It's been used maybe twice and is unlikely to be used again in the future. I'm not here to point blame or just complain like so many people do. I'm here to propose a solution. Turn the whole area into a parking lot. The curves at the street are already cut. And with the removal of the center planters and at least 5 trees, you can create 25 more parking spaces, perhaps even more. It's a quick and easy process. The cost is minimal, mostly labor for dismantling of the planters, tree removal, grading, and the addition of gravel. A big bonus is that a parking lot requires very little maintenance. I know there will be 1 or 2 people out there who will be very vocal in their opposition to tearing down the so-called musical park. But I think this proposal is a win-win for the city. You'd be increasing sorely needed city parking, bringing increased foot traffic to North Main, benefiting businesses such as Fresh, EUREKA and Mountain Eclectic, and improving a blighted area that is giving the city a black eye, all for little more than the cost of labor. The city already owns the land, there's no historical considerations, and I see no need for lengthy debate or even a city council ordinance. I really hope the city will consider taking this action. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it? Okay. That concludes the public comment, which we'll begin the new business. If I can get a motion to discuss the proposed ordinance for increasing rates.
Second.
Chrissy?
I would like to make a comment. I'm definitely in favor of a sewer rate increase, but I am not in favor of the water fee. Not because it's a fee, but because it's on the water to pay for the sewer system. And in my mind, that's inequitable, and I think perhaps it's illegal as well. I have noted that it appears that very few people, other than me, agree about this, and therefore I am going to vote for the sewer increase because I do feel that we do need an increase. I just think it's done the wrong way.
Anyone else? Mr. Mitchell?
So we've had the public hearing. We don't have to put it to a vote now. We don't have election or anything on it. So tonight, then, we would possibly be making a motion to go ahead with the last plan, identifying which one we're specifically doing. And a motion would be coming forth probably from that for action tonight, or not?
We
No?
actually have a ordinance in front of us.
We did? I didn't go that far. I didn't.
Mr. McClure?
The only question I had was, Section 3, that it is the council's intent to retire both set of outstanding bonds in a quick and legal manner, including, if possible, the use of the funds made available by the retirement of the first bonds, not due by December 1st, 2020. I don't remember what the projections are, but are we going to try and apply most of the money towards debt retirement? Is that what you're wanting to do, or are we going to be able to begin almost immediately on repairs and things working out of pocket? Is that the intent?
Both.
Well, that's what I'm wanting a little explanation of.
Yeah.
Just
The part of this is, of course, to meet our 123% bond requirement. When we retire that bond in 5 years, I've got to look and see what our 4 years. Take that money would continue to go on then to our next bond and be paying on the principal on it. So it would reduce the total bond payment by another 2 to 3 years, 3 years I think. So we can pay that off quicker and become debt free at that point with these bonds. Now the money that we would also be getting, of course, would be, and what I've directed the Public Works Director to do is start looking at areas, major leaks and areas that we can fix, and depending on revenue and projections on whether or not we can install any new lines. That remains to be seen at this point, but it certainly is going to, part of the money will go back into.
primarily the intent is to retire the first bond in the 4 years that it's, and then after that, apply that additional to the other two.
Yes, that is the Section 3.
Yeah, okay.
It's nice to see Section 3 in here because I think it's a good roadmap for any future people sitting at this table, or likewise that what we were doing now, we foresaw what we needed to have done in the future to correct everything that we said we would do to the citizens when we did this increase. And I think we've been very clear and succinct about it, and it's nice to see it in the ordinance.
You're basically correct. That is the whole purpose of putting this in here, so future administrations will have this to go by and it won't be forgotten as possibly it has done in the past.
I think Mr. Clark mentioned once about setting up a special
fund.
Well, there'll be a special account that will be noted, that will be shown on there.
So I have a couple of questions about that.
Okay.
Would that be all of the 21% increase would go into that special fund along with all of these fees? Is that the plan?
Basically, the money would go to the percentage of water sewer.
Can you hear him all right?
No, I didn't.
If you wouldn't come up here, please.
Another.
I'm not sure if you had another mic.
Okay, the way I planned to do it, was the percentage that would be the increase on the water sewer would go into just the regular operating funds. The additional on the flat rate part would go into the special revenues because, that is designated for special purposes.
For the infrastructure improvements?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that we could monitor those, and that money would not be used for operations in any shape, form, or fashion. That it would be handled and used for the intended purpose. Now, the percentage that we were talking about would go into operations because that's where we're going to meet the bond covenants.
Okay. And then if that 21% goes into the operations budget or whatever, there was something that we had to pay the principal out of we didn't pay our principal out of the budget, the annual budget. It had to come out of the bank account, the reserve account. Will that
It should provide enough funds to do the bond payments.
So then, the 2018 budget would show principal and interest bond payments in the 2018 budget?
It should, yes.
Okay. And then, if all of the fees are set aside in this special fund, would that carry over from year to year? Any balance in there?
Sure it would.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. McClung?
Is there not also or maybe there is or is not, I'm not sure, I don't remember, I know we talked about this a little bit. Is there a drag from this fund back into the general fund to replenish our reserve? That where we pulled it out to, you know what I mean?
That kind of remains to be seen. Hopefully,
I would hope that would be the case, that we could start repaying the general fund, but that's not a, excuse me, that's not a definite at this time.
part of what I think we were looking at was when we were doing the sales tax and how that was funded. We were looking at being able to repay. Now we're more or less, we're kind of meeting our actual contract obligations. Now, depends on how much revenue we're generating and how much repair work that we're going to be able to come out. What I'm hoping, and again, it's just a plan, is that the more repair work we can do on our water lines and fix those, the better revenue we'll have, which will generate additional money for the department, which will eventually we can start paying some of ours back.
That's not the intent of this. Hopefully, this will at least alleviate the drain from the general.
The whole point is to alleviate the drain and meet the bond covenants and get us onto a system where we can start repairing some of our infrastructure that we haven't been able to do. Okay, Ms. Adamson.
I'm sorry that we even have to do this, but it has to be done, and I understand all of it, and I'll vote for it. But one of the things that came up in the earlier public hearing, the one we had at the auditorium, were several people came in with a flat rate or a new rate structure for the billing. And I'm hoping that it won't just be lost somewhere, that what these people had to say was very valid. And I also understand that you cannot have a rate decrease while you're paying off this bond. I think that's what I heard correctly. But I think it's really important to start working on a new rate structure that is more fair and equitable for all people of the town, including business, residents. I guess, would there be anything else? I don't know. But I think that to honor these people that have put in this kind of work, and it made sense to me in reading over it, that I'm hoping that will be the next step after this.
I would just like to say that I agree wholeheartedly with Ms. Adamson.
Now,
thank you, Ms. King.
Well, a lot of that sounds good.
Yeah, I know.
You got to remember that we're a seasonal town. I think Mr. McClung pointed that out the last time. What we do in January, if we have a flat rate, does not reflect what happens in August and October with our water and sewer. So that is a problem that you run into when you're dealing with a town whose only industry is tourism. And unfortunately, we're not like Berryville or Green Forest that can depend on a steady revenue stream almost month to month. Mm-hmm. You know, ours fluctuates just like our sales tax do. So that's something that a lot of times isn't considered when you look at rates. And if you look at the state of Arkansas, we're not alone in this. A lot of other municipalities generate the same type of system that we do. So we're not being unique on that. Mr. McClung?
I was going to go ahead and make a motion that we assign this ordinance a number and read it for the first.
Second.
Okay. We got a motion and a second, now we got a discussion. We want a discussion on that, Mr. Thomas?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed that the proposed ordinance, I guess we would call it, has an emergency clause. So that would mean that possibly it could be read 3 times tonight and then the emergency clause invoked. So my question relates to if we have almost a half year of increases, if we pass this right away and we have, a half year of increases with our bond payments that are due in December, it should impact the 2017 budget, then shouldn't it? And it should impact the bank accounts. It should keep the bank accounts from being impacted, I guess. Is that true? Okay.
It remains to be seen how much and exactly what to
Right,
say.
right.
But you're right. I mean, it could theoretically be 3 read and emergency clause passed tonight, or it can be read 2 times and waited until the next meeting and done. Mr. McClung?
Or it could be read 3 times tonight and go into effect in 30 days.
Correct.
Right.
So, any other
The
questions?
sooner the better in the long run.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I mean, can I ask you a question?
Well,
No.
what is your question?
Well, the question is, what is your feeling about the emergency clause?
I don't, that's up for you to decide.
Yeah, well, I'd like to know,
Bob,
well, how would that affect this, other than it would go into effect sooner?
That's exactly right.
That's the only reason you pass it 3 times
You
tonight.
pass it 3 times in the
it'd
emergency
be
clause.
starting in May,
And then we
or
would,
whatever.
no, we would start
Tomorrow.
Start tomorrow, as soon as the next billing cycle.
And it's going to happen anyway, so.
I think the city attorney could explain to her what the impact of an emergency clause is.
It's just that. I mean, the whole idea is these covenants are supposed to be being met. They're not being met.
I know,
The quicker they're met,
the better.
the better for legal purposes. If we ever go to borrow money again, they're going to want to know, do you follow your covenants? For one thing. It is going to possibly have a quicker impact on how much money gets drained out of the accounts at the end of the year, because if you got another month of collections put in there, it's less money that should have to come out of somewhere else to meet the
Okay.
December bond payments.
Any other
Thank you.
questions? Vicki?
It's one of those deals where we've already had a town hall, we've
Right.
had the public works, this has been ongoing for months and
Right.
months. So it's not a surprise action, it's not that nobody knows. Everybody is well-versed and obviously are accepting of the situation,
Right.
if you have nobody here. So let's get it done and over with and help the city's books.
All right. Any further discussion? Okay, we got a motion and a second to give this ordinance a number and read it for the first time. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
The number will be 2255. An ordinance increasing rates for services rendered by the water and sewer systems of the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, prescribing other matters relating thereto, and providing an emergency clause. Whereas the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, the city, owns and operates a water distribution system and a sewer system. And whereas the city council has determined that rates and charges need to be increased for services of the systems in order that there will be sufficient funds available to operate and maintain the systems. And whereas it is necessary to amend the Eureka Springs Municipal Code in order to increase the rates for sewer usage and charges for water services. And whereas said rates and charges are hereby found to be fair, reasonable, and necessary. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council, the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, Section 1. The City Council hereby finds and declares the following charges shall be added to the rates for water services to be fair, reasonable, and necessary, and they are hereby fixed as charges for services of the water system. The first 2,000 gallons of water consumption per month or any portion thereof. for the next 8,000 gallons of water consumption per month or any portion thereof. Oh, I see, okay, sorry, for
I
the
think you're
2,000,
right,
the
yeah.
standard rates go with that. The standard rate is previously set by ordinance, and $5 for infrastructure and improvements. For the second tier, 8,000 gallons or any portion thereof, standard rates is previously set by ordinance, and $10 for infrastructure and improvements. For all water consumption in excess of 10,000 gallons per month or any portion thereof, standard rates are previously set by ordinance, and $50 infrastructure and improvements. Section 2, that the sewer usage rate shall be increased by an additional 21% added to the current rate structure. Section 3, that it is the council's intent to retire both sets of outstanding bonds in a quick and legal manner, including, if possible, the use of funds made available by retirement of the first bonds now due by December 1, 2020, to increase payment and calling of the second set of bonds now due to be satisfied by December 1, 2027. Section 4, that the provisions of this ordinance are separable, and if a section, phrase, or provision shall be declared invalid, such declaration shall not affect the validity of the remainder of this ordinance. Section 5, that ordinances and resolutions and parts thereof in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict. These rates shall be reflected in the, and for right now I want to leave that date blank depending on what happens tonight. And we'll fill it in at the end.
Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion to pass ordinance number 2255 on its first reading.
2225?
2225.
2255?
2255. 2238.
That's what my dyslexia was bad.
2225, isn't it?
2255.
Oh, 2255.
55.
Okay.
I'll second that.
My fault, sorry.
If we ever get the numbers right.
All right, we got a motion to approve ordinance 2255 on its first reading.
And I'll second it.
We got a second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moved.
Do the second reading or not?
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
I'd like to make a motion that we read ordinance, suspend the rules, and read ordinance number 2255 by title only.
Second.
Any
Second reading.
All right, any discussion?
I have a question, I guess for Lonnie. The December principal and interest payments on the two bonds is about $350,000.
I believe that's correct.
Okay. So if in December this new rate had raised $300,000, would that entire $300,000 go towards those two bond payments, or would you say, well, we spent $50 of it on operations, so there's only $250 to, we're still going to have to take $50,000 out of our bank account?
Lonnie,
You lost me.
Pardon?
You lost me.
Lonnie maybe
I'm
can
not
clear it up.
sure that's an appropriate question on this ordinance, but Lonnie?
I really don't know how to answer that. It would go, this part of this money will go in for operations. If there's not enough funds available there, then we'll have to supplement that from some other source at the time, because we have to make the bond payment.
Right.
So it will depend a lot on the operations, how much money is collected, and we'll just have to wait and see what the situation is. But I guess in answer to your question, if we collected $300,000 and we had to use $50 for the operations, then we'd have to make up that $50 somewhere else.
Okay.
Does that answer your question too?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
And
it
to
does.
be honest, I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of a budget item, and, I mean, I'm not sure yet. It kind of, there's a lot of variables that the council's going to have to make a decision on, because ultimately, you're the one who decides how it's going to be spent.
Well, I'm just I think does relate to this ordinance because I'm asking, are we prioritizing this money towards the bond payments, or are we putting it into the general fund and then operating as...
Well, it's our intent to go ahead and put it toward retirement of the
Okay.
bond. But it's our intent, we got to meet that bond requirement, so we
Right.
want to pay that and keep a minimal amount from general funds.
Right.
On there. Yes, ma'am.
When the tax thing was happening, one of the assurances was this tax would go to, there'd be a tracking device for the citizens to be able to see how the money is coming in and being used. Will that still be happening?
That's what we just mentioned earlier, when Lonnie was talking about the 5% would be set up, or the $5, the infrastructure fund would be set up in a special fund. The 21% sewer is going to go into...
So we'll be seeing it in a budgetary thing
Yes.
like this? And the citizens of Eureka Springs can see that too?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right.
So this is to suspend the rules
Suspend the rules.
for the second reading.
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yep.
Ms. Adamson?
Yes.
Ms. Kendrick?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
6-0. Ordinance number 2255, an ordinance increasing rates for services rendered by the water and sewer systems of the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, prescribing other matters relating thereto and providing an emergency clause.
Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2255 on its second reading.
Second.
Any discussion?
Voice is okay.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved. Go for a third? Go ahead. Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance number 2255 on its third reading.
Go ahead.
Title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay.
This one's yours.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Ms. Kendrick?
Yes.
Ms. Adamson?
No.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yep.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
5-1. Ordinance number 2255, an ordinance increasing rates for services rendered by the water and sewer systems of the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, prescribing other matters relating thereto, and providing an emergency clause.
The motion,
I'd like to make a motion that we pass ordinance 2255 on its third reading.
Second.
any discussion?
There you go. Roll call.
Nope. Do we need votes for it, or?
Well, that's the third, so it'll be roll call. Ms. Adamson?
What do you want from me?
Approval of the third reading.
Oh, yeah.
Your vote on approval of the third reading.
Yes. Approval.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Ms. Kendrick?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
6-0.
Want to go for the emergency? Push the luck?
Go for it.
Now what?
This has been months in the making.
Let me ask this. If we go for the emergency and it doesn't pass, it doesn't affect the ordinance, it just waits for 30
The
days.
ordinance would then be published or posted in
30 days.
30 days. It would take
I make a motion to read the emergency clause for ordinance number 2255.
Second.
read and approve.
Read and approve, yes.
All right, we got a motion to read and approve the emergency clause and discussion. Okay, roll call.
Correct. Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Ms. Adamson?
No.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Kendrick?
Yes.
5-1. So, the next billing is which month?
What is this?
Mr. Clark, what's the next month for the billing?
Probably
When
start
does the
June.
billing
Is it
go
April
out?
billing or May, June, May billing?
It'll be the April usage, and it'll be billed the first week of May.
So it would be correct to put in, rate shall be reflected in the April billing?
No, in the May billing.
Wouldn't it? The May billing. Thank you. Okay, so that takes care of section 6.
Mr.
Emergency.
McClung?
I'm just curious, is that's not a problem getting all that worked into your accounting system before the billings, before the bills go out for May? Or do you want to wait until June to give yourself some time to get it all?
We better wait till June, because it's going to take some reprogramming.
June.
So starting in June.
I don't know whether we need an emergency clause then, do we? If it's
I would
starting
go
in June?
ahead and potentially use the emergency clause, because otherwise, technically, it could be appealed during the 30 days, at the end of the 30 days, and they could have put all the work in to make the
Okay.
billing for June,
Okay.
and then have to scramble to get it out again.
Gotcha. Okay. How do we need to address section 6?
I think probably to make it clean, since we left it blank, they need to quickly make a motion to add the word June to it.
Since we have a motion for the emergency, do we have to do it first, or we have to back off of that and go back to that?
I would actually do the June first.
Back off the
Back off
emergency
the
clause?
emergency clause for just a moment and do the June.
So you want to withdraw your motion?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I do, but
Just for a minute.
really, okay.
Do you have to take your second?
Ms. Kendricks?
Yes.
Can we word it in a way that is the soonest possible next billing?
If we did that, then that would be forcing the finance department to try to get it into the next billing cycle.
I
opposed to
think that would be
mandating.
desirable.
That's what the council desires, I guess.
Not the way our city
You would
works.
have to- I mean, you can do that.
Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion to read the emergency clause, including the date for section 6 as June of 2017.
Second.
That work?
Yeah.
All together, okay.
Okay.
Should work.
Do you have to do 3 readings on that motion?
No.
Thank you.
You probably have to re-vote it.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion of,
Actually, it's important.
do what?
She's got to roll call.
Oh, yeah. But it's the setting the rates to be reflected in the June billing with the emergency clause.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call.
Well, so we're deleting the vote that just took place.
Yeah.
All right? So this is to add section 6 and the emergency clause. Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. McClung,
Yes.
Ms. Schneider,
Yes?
Ms. Adamson, Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Kendrick,
Yes.
6-0. All right, section 6, these rates shall be reflected in the June billing. Emergency clause, section 7. Because the proposed water flat fee additions and sewer rate increases are necessary for the efficient operations of the city of Eureka Springs and for the preservation of public peace, health, safety, and continuance of public services, this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage and approval.
Thank you, everyone. I know this has been a long process, and, including all the citizens. And hopefully we can start seeing some good improvements. All right, our next item, I do.
Like, thingy.
I lose my
There we go.
agenda. What is our next one? Discussion of the proposed ordinance regarding smoking.
Yes.
Get a motion to discuss.
So moved.
Get second.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Kendrick.
After all of the changes that have occurred to the smoking ordinance in our, at the various meetings we've had, I don't see a purpose for the definition of city-owned sporting arenas, and think it ought to be deleted.
I agree with you. It just doesn't add anything.
All right, let's make a motion to delete that section?
I will make a motion to delete that section.
And I'll give her the second.
So we got a motion
I
second.
think before we do that, we ought to assign the ordinance a number,
Okay.
and then we've got,
Been amended?
Well, we've kind of got a motion to table. We can go right to that one now. I don't think it'll hurt. Will it?
all right,
Sure.
whatever you think.
Actually, I think you probably should read it first.
Okay, so if we can get a...
I'll withdraw my second,
Ms. Kendrick?
I'll withdraw my
Okay.
motion.
and we'll
Somebody
wait.
want to make a motion now to assign a number?
Go ahead. Oh, you don't
I
want
thought that's what
to?
we already did. Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to assign this an ordinance and read it on its first reading.
Second. The ordinance number?
Okay, we've got a motion and a second.
What to say? You're not
Voice is
listening
okay?
when James is small real well.
Voice is okay.
Yeah, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I
Any opposed?
understand.
Okay.
Ordinance number 2256. An ordinance banning smoking in Eureka Springs city parks. Whereas, based on findings of the U.S. Surgeon General or the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Eureka Springs City Council has determined that smoking and the use of tobacco products may be hazardous to humans' health. Scientific research has shown that non-smokers often receive damage to their health from secondhand smoke from smokers. Secondhand smoke may be a significant public health hazard, especially hazardous to particular groups, including those with chronic health problems, the elderly, and children. Smoking endangers children and others by exposing them to secondhand smoke. Implementing laws to prohibit tobacco use is an effective way to reduce secondhand smoke. Cigarette waste is an abundant form of litter in Arkansas. Cigarette butts linger in the environment up to 25 years. Improperly discarded tobacco products can easily enter waterways and water supplies where toxins may leach from the litter and harm aquatic life. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, Section 1, Tobacco Products. For the purpose of this ordinance, tobacco is to include any product containing, made, or derived from tobacco that is intended for human consumption, whether chewed, smoked, absorbed, dissolved, inhaled, snorted, sniffed, or any other means or any component, part, or accessory of tobacco, to include but not limited to any lighted or unlighted tobacco plant matter, including but not limited to cigarette, cigar, pipe, vaporizer, vaping pen, hookah, or hookah pen, or any other smoking product or device, spit tobacco, including but not limited to smokeless, dip, chew, snuzz, and snuff, and electronic nicotine ingestion devices, included but not limited to e-cigarettes. the definition of smoking. For the purpose of this ordinance, smoking means inhaling, exhaling, or carrying any lighted tobacco product. City-owned sports arenas means a sports pavilion, stadium, gymnasium, health spa, boxing ring, swimming pool, roller or ice skating rink, bowling alley, or other similar place where the general public assembles to engage in physical exercise by participating therein or viewing said activity. Smoking permitted area means an area which does not serve as an area of ingress or egress, which is clearly posted with smoking permitted, children under age 18 forbidden, signs in which smoking is permitted. Section 2, smoking and/or the use of any tobacco product shall be prohibited within 25 feet of any park offices, other park buildings and structures, all playgrounds, Harmon Skate Park, Harmon Dog Park, Basin Park in its entirety, all springs and spring reservations in their entireties, and Leatherwood Fields, concession areas, swimming area, and playground. Section 3, violations and penalties. Any person who violates any provision of this ordinance shall be guilty of a misdemeanor and subject to the following penalties: a fine of not less than $75 and not more than $150 plus court costs for the first offense; a fine of not less than $150 and not more than $300 plus court costs for the second offense within 1 year of committing a prior offense; a fine of not less than $300 and not more than $500 plus court costs for the third and each subsequent offense within 1 year of committing 2 prior offenses. Any person who smokes or uses tobacco products in an area where smoking or use of tobacco products is prohibited and who refuses to cease smoking or the use of such products when asked may be required to leave the premises and shall be subject to prosecution for criminal trespass if he or she does not leave and remain gone from the area for at least 24 hours. Section 4, that provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be separable, and if any provision shall for any reason be held illegal or invalid, such holding shall not affect the validity of the remainder of this ordinance. Section 5, all ordinances and resolutions and parts thereof in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict.
Now do we amend?
Okay, Ms. Kendi.
I would like to make a motion to amend the ordinance to remove the definition of city-owned sporting arenas and the definition smoking permitted area. And the reason that I suggest that is that those terms are used nowhere else in the ordinance and therefore are unnecessary.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Schneider?
I totally disagree with the smoking permitted area. If we can put signage up showing smoking permitted areas, that will help people to understand you can smoke here, but not over there. We have kids over there, whatever. Over here is where you belong. It would help them understand what we are trying to do, which is to protect non-smokers. So whether it's listed anywhere or not, I don't think that'll make any difference. I think the point is we want to help people to not bother non-smokers. I agree on the sporting arena. It's obviously, city stuff.
Anybody, David?
It's non-smoking in all of those areas, and so it kind of seems redundant then to have an area over here that says smoking permitted. If you're in the area, and I'm sure there's going to be signage of some type that says smoking is not permitted in this area, so anywhere if there's not a sign that says smoking not permitted, smoking's permitted.
It's an emotional impact, trust me, I'm an ex-smoker.
Nikki, please.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You're going to have to identify the areas with signage for that are non-smoking. Because, well, people are not going to know. I mean, it's just, if they can't smoke in Basin Park or if the spring reservations and stuff. So they'll have to be posted, so I think that really covers it. If the places are posted where you can't smoke, then everything else is fair game.
Ms. Adamson?
Well, in the hopes for the glorious future, I don't smoke at all, and I don't smoke pot at all. But there's no mention of pot in here being smoked in Basin Park or Lake Weatherwood. I mean, it's illegal probably to smoke pot here, but will that come up as, it's not considered tobacco?
Actually, it is covered because the definition of smoking, well, I thought before it didn't say lighted tobacco product. Before the definition of, I'm sorry I didn't focus on this, but she's right. Before when we had looked at it, the definition of smoking did not include the word tobacco. It included just in general smoking, I had thought.
Ms. Schneider?
At the workshop, we decided we were not going to touch state or federal laws in regards to medical marijuana.
No, that's not true.
Yes, we did. We had quite a discussion about that.
We talked about it, but it wasn't decided that we were going to do anything of the sort.
Yeah, we decided we weren't going to touch and get involved in that simply because when you're sitting there doing medical marijuana, hopefully most of the time it's at home, but not necessarily, but nobody in their right mind is going to sit there and light up a pot pipe in public, not even in Eureka.
Go to the drive-in.
Are we not discussing your motion to eliminate those two paragraphs?
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, any other discussion on these two items? All right, I guess there was a motion made to eliminate those two sections. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
But what
Any
if you're
opposed?
for one and against the other?
Any opposed?
Well, I've got to ask, what if you're for one and against the other?
Just vote for one of the, just vote yea or
All
nay.
right, I'll go with for,
Okay.
yes, aye.
Mr. McClung?
And I
It's
think,
stupid, but-
I think marijuana does need to be included in it, because if somebody is smoking it, if they were to be smoking it for medicinal purposes, more than likely they wouldn't be doing it in public. If they're doing it in public, it could be offensive to other people, just as cigarette smoke is offensive.
Well, it's illegal.
Ms. Kendrick?
I'd also like to point out that the amendment that will legalize medical marijuana does permit local jurisdictions to limit the areas in which marijuana can be smoked.
Okay. Mr. Weaver, in your opinion, and I don't remember, I don't have a copy of that, but can we just omit the definition under smoking, any lighted product? Inhaling, exhaling, or carrying any lighted product?
Well, it's a plant.
Would that include
I don't understand why it's
marijuana
not
then?
covered.
Take out the word tobacco.
Or tobacco, yeah, and exactly.
See, that's why I thought it was covered.
Or we could say tobacco or cannabis product.
I would just take out tobacco.
Smoking and or the use of any product shall be prohibited.
Seems to be.
Or either that, or you add marijuana in the definition of tobacco products. Either way.
Why don't we just take out tobacco? Have it be lighted or unlighted plant matter. That covers everything.
I would suggest taking out the word tobacco rather than trying to mess with the tobacco products definition, because if you do that, it would also encompass if we ever have synthetics approved in the state. Where if we try to change the definition of tobacco products, we'd have to go back later and change the definition of tobacco products.
Mr. McClung?
I have to agree with him because I'd hate to see somebody over there smoking crack and they get the label. Take out ordinance.
So, did we,
If you look at our whereases, they all speak basically to cigarettes. It's tobacco, smoking, cigarette waste. Now you're saying, well, I think it'll be offensive if somebody's smoking marijuana, so let's throw that in here too. We're eliminating smoking because it's a health hazard. That's our justification for this ordinance. You can't just throw in other stuff that you don't like. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's offensive that, you know.
I don't like any smoking, so why would you allow marijuana to be smoked too?
Well, because
I don't like any smoking.
well, if you want to go back up here and justify not allowing marijuana, that's fine. But all of your justification speaks to cigarettes. And I personally think we need to throw out all of the chew and all of that other stuff because the justification is secondhand smoke from cigarettes, and chewing tobacco does not give you secondhand smoke.
Smoking
Mitchell?
and its accessories?
second page over, section 2 says smoking and or use of any tobacco product shall be prohibited. Would that also not, tobacco have to not come out of that sentence there? Because you wouldn't want marijuana smoke within 25 feet of all those things either. So if we got the one spot, you would
have to. Now, what Alderman here is speaking to is somewhat something that you need to consider. All your whereases do run to tobacco. Now, I disagree with him that they all run only to cigarettes. The last one clearly can run to aquatic pollution by tobacco. I mean, spit, things like that get into the water systems too. But marijuana isn't in any of your justifications.
Well, the second item, though, says scientific, it's non-smokers, and talking about secondhand smoke from smokers. Doesn't say what kind of smoke.
Well, do you have any research to lay on the court's desk that shows the secondhand tobacco or secondhand marijuana smoke is
fun?
It's probably out there,
Harmful in what way?
but I don't. Well, if you're going to take it as a medicinal aid, if it's improperly, any medicine improperly administered could be harmful to the person it's being administered to. So you might be able to make that justification. But the idea is that marijuana use, according to the state of Arkansas now, can be used as a medication. So are they making a medication that meets the secondhand harm to all those around it?
So in other words, we need to spend a lot more time rewording most of this.
This is tailored to fit tobacco. It is not tailored to fit
Everything
Mr.
else.
McClung's crack or anything else that it might be available to smoke.
It won't fit like that.
All right, Mr. Kendrick.
I would like to make a motion that we amend the definition of smoking to, for the purpose of this ordinance, smoking means inhaling, exhaling, or carrying any lighted product.
Yeah, but then doesn't that...
I'll second that, but then I have a discussion.
Doesn't that omit the whole problem they had with the spitting?
Mickey, hold on just a moment.
Doesn't that?
David?
I'll second that, but at the same time, again, Section 2 on the other side has tobacco products based on, who drafted this, put this together? Tim?
This has been conglomerated from your workshop.
Okay.
So it's got pieces of 4 ordinances.
Yeah.
So, but because we just dropped on you the issue of marijuana, I mean, it just came up. Or would it be advisable to go ahead and table this to the next meeting to give the attorney time to adjust this to reflect that? If not, then we just keep sitting here and working on drafting it, or why don't we send it back to the attorney for inclusion of that if that's a big issue?
I mean, if you really want to amend the last amendment to make smoking include other products besides tobacco, that is fine. Number 2 says smoking and or use of any tobacco product. So it is meant to cover 2 offenses. It's meant to cover what you're going to define as smoking.
Okay.
And it is meant to cover the snuff and other items that might be spit into the environment.
So what would you change smoking to then to cover the marijuana?
Just what Ms. Kendrick just may have suggested.
Just take tobacco
just
out.
taking the tobacco product.
Okay.
Okay. Bob?
So if I'm over at Basin Park for, a ceremony where we're going to carry candles, I'm carrying a lighted product. Is that not against the law now, under this ordinance?
Technically, it probably would be.
At one point, that was in there, that was not counted. At one point.
That was in one of the ordinances of the
Yeah.
board. It was conglomerated. That part was taken out.
Okay, well, we got a motion and a second to eliminate the word tobacco from under definitions of smoking. You got further comments on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
throw the hands up. Okay, I don't see how we can drop that whole part of definitions since everybody was so upset about chew and snuff and spitting and everything else. Would it be easier, Tim, if we have basically a tobacco ordinance and either a separate one or an additional paragraph that included accessories, paraphernalia, however you want to word it, but to where, so we can have the plant, the burning plant, the lit plant, which would cover tobacco and pot, and it would also, in a separate thing, include all these accessories like the chew and the spitting and all that.
Actually, my suggestion is to pass this under tobacco only, and then if you want to forbid the use of marijuana, make a little bit more comprehensive and create a second ordinance.
We can do it on one. I mean, it's just,
yeah.
it's the smoking of it.
Well,
I don't care if somebody uses something legal or
A
eats a
pill.
gram of hash, I don't care. That doesn't bother me a bit. It's the smoking, it's the issue.
Until you, though, see what the state actually prescribes in their actual final rules and regs, you don't know for sure what you're forbidding at this point. I mean, they're still
What
working
we
on
said,
this
yeah.
stuff in Little Rock.
Yes.
So are you saying pass this as tobacco, see what the state does, and then fix it
Then
later?
if you've got a problem with people smoking marijuana, address that.
Let's just
Well, we got the motion right now is
You've got a motion to remove the word tobacco.
to remove the word tobacco,
Yeah.
which theoretically would then cover smoking
Where
marijuana.
was it? I forgot.
We have first and
It's the definition of smoking.
Oh, right there. Okay.
I call the question then, so we.
All right. Okay, all those in favor of
Who
amending...
seconded on calling?
Who did second
I'll
that?
pull that back. I'll call the question back so you can get onto the motion.
What?
Because don't you have to
Oh,
vote
you're
for
right,
that?
yeah,
I
you're right.
pull-
Okay, I was just going to go ahead and bring it up. I don't know who seconded it.
There was no second on calling the question, but on the
Okay.
amendment, Kendrick made the motion, Mitchell did the second.
Okay.
Made the second.
Okay, all those in favor of amending the smoking definition to remove the word tobacco, signify by saying aye.
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 All right.
Where are we taking tobacco out?
The definition of smoking.
Any lighted tobacco products, we're
No,
taking
any-
out
we're not
tobacco.
saying any lighted product.
Okay.
How do you vote?
I said aye, even though
Okay.
I wasn't sure where it was.
Did everybody say aye?
I said no. I mean, I haven't said no yet, but if you ask me, I'll say no.
Okay, well, okay, we have all those in favor, all those who Opposed, signify by saying no. All right, we got 4-2.
God, I'm so
Who
lost.
was the other no?
It was just
Me.
Peg and
Thank you.
Bob. All
So
right,
the word tobacco comes out. Okay.
all
Do
right.
you want to say anything?
Anything else on this ordinance?
Can I ask you a
Kendrick?
question? Go ahead.
Please.
What is, in tobacco products, what is an unlighted tobacco plant matter?
A pack of cigarettes. This says
You can't even carry a pack of cigarettes in your
That's what
pocket?
this says.
That's ridiculous.
The fifth line, but not limited to any lighted or unlighted tobacco plant matter.
Well, people carry smokes in their shirt sleeve
Yeah.
and shit, so I kind of have,
Yeah.
All right, well, y'all want to, says any lighted or unlighted, somebody want to strike out the word,
I want to have another workshop.
Just a moment.
If you take that out, then you're taking out chewing tobacco, snuff, and those.
Yes.
You
So
can
the word
carry those
unlighted
things.
tobacco plant matter,
It is further defined below as...
what is this?
so that's not a pack of cigarettes
Nope.
or a cigar.
I was prosecuted, and I don't think anyone else would as a pack of cigarettes.
It
Unless they're
says,
chewing them up.
it says,
Or selling them.
But it's further defined in the next sentence.
And it also says in Section 2, the use of tobacco products.
I mean, if they're chewing up the cigarettes, they're in violation. And some people do chew cigarettes.
Chew cigars.
Yeah. So they would be in violation.
Mr. Kendrick?
this is,
It does, I mean, that may be the definition of tobacco products, but the actual prohibition is the use of tobacco products. So if it's in their pocket,
They're
then
safe.
they're not using it.
If they pull out the cigar and chew the end off it, and
They could
spit
get
it out on the
busted.
ground, then they could get busted because they're using the cigar. Or if they chew up the cigarettes, or
Okay.
Okay, so the way this is okay. It's just saying those are the things that are included? Okay.
All right.
We have another
I
workshop.
have another, I just don't know what it is. What is a snus? Or a
Yeah,
snus?
I don't know either.
it's a Swedish word for snuff.
it's
I would know this, huh?
I looked it up.
I've never seen it
I was
before.
going to have to say it out loud. I said, I better find out what this is.
Snus?
Okay.
Yeah.
I would
It's
just-
a little more finely ground
All right.
than what we have here.
Gotcha.
I would just like the comment that, to make the comment that I don't believe that this smoking ban goes far enough. In Berryville and Green Forest are banning smoking in all of their parks. I'm concerned that because Eureka Springs is not passing a total ban, certain grants may be lost, but I am going to vote for this ordinance because I believe that it goes at least partway.
Mr. Mitchell?
And Eureka Springs has a lot more tourists than those other two towns. That'll be my only comment.
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to explain how we're going to vote, I'm going to vote against it because chewing tobacco, some people chew tobacco and they don't spit it down on the ground, and I don't see why we're, trying to limit what people can do for their personal enjoyment that doesn't bother anybody else.
All right, I think really unless somebody's got a motion to put this on second reading or something, we're done with this at this point. Okay, we can talk about it next time.
Have we
Let's
voted
see.
on the
We got a vote?
Actually, I
Oh,
don't
we
think
got a
there
vote?
was a motion to approve.
But
It's been amended.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Good, so we do still have a discussion, all right.
is there any way we can just do another workshop to hammer this out? It's not like we're in any rush on it, but there's just been so much, even after that huge workshop we had and all the other meetings, I mean, look at this, we're still 5 million different points. Can't we have one more workshop to try to hammer
Well, we
this out?
got a motion right now for...
Not yet. We're waiting
No.
for a motion
Oh,
to
we're-
approve.
Well, we don't have a motion to approve?
Correct.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Mr.
ma'am.
Mitchell?
You
No,
want
no,
me-
no, I was waiting for you.
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 2256 on its first reading. Yeah.
Good, second.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
As amended, if someone is walking through Lake Leatherwood at night with a flashlight, that's a lighted product. A lighted product is by definition smoking. And smoking is prohibited.
Can we please have another workshop? All these points, you know you read all these points, they're going to come back and hammer us.
All right, Mr. Mitchell.
First reading, 2 weeks, we'll have a second reading. Hang on, folks. It's not over with yet.
Well, it'd be over faster if we had a workshop.
All right, all those in favor of approving ordinance 2256 as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all those against the motion, signify by saying nay.
No.
I guess we need a
1,
roll
2,
call.
3.
I said no.
I said no.
I say nay, early nay.
So 2-4.
2-4, fail.
Workshop.
Going to a workshop.
Okay.
Voted it down.
Yeah, you just voted down. There's no workshop.
Yeah, there is. If you sit there and you start from scratch and do it properly rather than halfway and trying to fix it while we're sitting here.
That pretty much puts it to bed, doesn't it?
Unless we come up with a brand new one properly worded, which would be totally
I
different.
think, I'm willing to listen to it if you want to make a motion for a workshop.
I will make a motion that we have another workshop on this. It is something
Now,
that
you
needs
don't
to
need
be
to
done.
elaborate. The motion's understood. If there's a second.
To try to fix it.
Is there anybody for a second on the workshop?
Thought you wanted us to quit smoking.
All right. We tried.
Well, it shows how much
Okay.
you want them to quit.
Okay. On to the next item. What is the next item? Second meeting, okay, financial. Where am I here? Financial. All right. We did have a financial meeting, finance committee workshop prior to our council meeting. My tongue's getting all tangled up here. And it was noted that our general fund is running 10% under our budget for this year. And the good news and the bad news was our expenses were running about 19.86%, and we're 24% of the year through. So our spending is down. Unfortunately, our revenues were only 16%. So we're roughly about 2.5% cash flow. However, it was also noted too that this is in March, which reflects the February sales, and sales tax is always down. And we're anticipating, because of a lot of other things, that we probably overall is nothing to worry about. It's just something to keep our eyes on that can be getting serious that we need to pay attention to. Our capital fund is also down, and it's just a matter of us paying attention to where we are in our budgets. So, if I can get a motion to look at our resolution for our settlement.
So moved.
Okay. We had a special meeting. We didn't approve the minutes on that, but that's later. And so this is the draft of our meeting. So do I have a motion, Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion that we, sign this resolution to number and read it for passage.
Second.
Okay. Do we have any discussion? If not, roll call.
Correct. Ms. Kendrick?
I'm in favor. Yes.
Ms. Adamson?
Yes.
How's that to Terry? Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
6-0. The resolution number will be 709. A resolution to authorize the mayor to finalize settlement of Morris versus City of Eureka Springs et al. Whereas the City Council of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, having been informed of the terms of settlement by the city's municipal league attorney, and whereas they, having received his recommendation, and whereas the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs did approve the settlement by voice vote at a special meeting of the council held on April 21, 2017. Therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, that the mayor is hereby authorized to complete this settlement by 1. Causing the transfer of funds in the amount of $45,000 to the plaintiff and plaintiff's attorneys for full and final settlement of all claims. 2. Signing all necessary documents.
Agenda setting. Anyone have an agenda item for next time?
Yes, I do. I believe I deferred the sewer committee until the next meeting, so I would like to have that on the agenda as well, please.
What was that?
The sewer committee.
Oh.
And also,
We got a second on that?
I'll second it for.
Okay.
Okay. Also, I would like to know or have the city attorney address whether people that obtain special event permits have to comply with our ordinance 2223. And if they do not, I would like to discuss perhaps passing an ordinance that would require people obtaining special event permits to comply with 2223.
What is 2223?
What is 22?
The equality ordinance.
Non-discrimination.
It's the equality ordinance.
Yeah.
Oh.
Everybody has to.
Yeah, if you're in the city, you've got to comply.
Well, maybe not.
I still like this.
And if they don't, they get
I was
arrested.
saying
No, that's not true.
It
The
used to be.
anti-discrimination ordinance is separate, that's, has to do with, it's a separate issue with religion and marriage and stuff. But, I mean, our city attorney can address that. I think what you're talking about is, in particular, it's parades.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm not sure in that case that,
Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
I'm not sure that it does address
Second.
or pertains to that. The city attorney can give us
It's
some
a,
thoughts.
it's a private
Was
city.
this a motion to put it on the agenda?
Yes.
Well,
We have
it
the,
doesn't involve a motion, it's a request of a second.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
requested the city attorney to give us an opinion on that.
I second it.
So anybody else have anything? Yes, sir.
I would like to have updates from you on the two issues that were raised here, North Main Street Park and also the ADA compliance.
Okay, we can do that.
All right.
Yeah.
Second.
Get a second?
Oh, second.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm so lost tonight.
All right, comments? Anyone? Bob?
No.
No, I don't have any comments.
Mr. McClung?
Thank you.
David?
No.
Mickey?
Yeah. Last Thursday, the farmer's market had its official ribbon cutting at the old high school. The mayor was there, I was there, Peg was there. If anybody else was there, I didn't see you. It was really nice. It's going to be a fabulous place for the farmer's market. They've got lots of room to expand and everything else. I hope you all will start coming out. And next Tuesday, they start their Tuesday plus Thursday every week. Mr. Mayor, Saturday, did I hear right? Are they adding Saturday in over there? Do you know?
I don't know.
Do you know?
There has been a Saturday market in the Vermilio's parking lot on Saturday.
Okay, for some reason,
And there is a desire on the part of some people to move that market over as well.
okay, well, that may have been solidified then, because I heard something on the radio in regards to, so check into it, but definitely Tuesday and Thursday. and it's going to be off, and our mayor was kind of a chicken, and I'll be polite about that. He refused to climb our brand-new fire truck ladder. It was, what, how many zillions of feet high? To do the ribbon cutting. But no, it was awesome. It was really good. I'm so glad they finally got there. So make sure y'all come out and support them.
Hey?
I wanted to thank EUREKA for being beautiful with irises right now. We're going through all these phases of beautiful flowers, and I love them. And the other thing I wanted to do was to thank Trella Wasslin and Rabbi Rob Winnick for hosting the anti-Semitism parade this past Sunday. And it was a small event, but very significant, and it was a good thing. And the Methodist Church for serving water.
All right. Sorry. Upcoming events. Boy, this May Fine Arts Month, and we've got so many things going on this month. Of course, we're starting off with this coming weekend in April with the yards and yards and yards and yards and yards and yard sales. I think there's going to be a lot of yard sales this weekend. And it should be a nice weekend, too, so there'll be a lot of people running around town. Next is the May Fine Arts Festival starting on. On the 4th, we'll have the launch of the EUREKA Spectacle, starting at 6 p.m. at the Basin Park. And then on the 5th will be the unveiling of the Four Seasons, also at the Basin Park. These are going to be some just great events, so you should come out and see and participate in these two items. It'll be a lot of fun, and something that you won't believe what our artists have created. On the 5th is the opening of the Passion Play for 2017. On the 6th, Saturday, Outrageous Parade, 2 p.m., starting at the library. And it promises to be another outrageous parade. And on the 7th, we'll have the Dance of Deceit Theater performance at 2 p.m. at the Odd. Awesome. And then on the 8th is the unveiling of Bridge of Love at 10 a.m. at the Basin Park House Bridge. So a lot of events coming up and a lot of events starting out this next 2 weeks.
Mr. Mayor, also there's dancing at the park this Saturday night, and that's hosted by Mellow Light Dancing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
A lot of fun too.
And they're great. It's a lot of fun. You know, I saw them. I caught them briefly Sunday, and if you haven't seen them, come on out and put your dancing shoes on.
That's on Saturday? Saturday night?
Saturday,
okay.
5 to 7.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Wasn't it on Sunday?
It was this
Saturday.
weekend.
Saturday.
This past Sunday.
This past Sunday in the park?
They did it on Sunday. Oh, it was?
Because of the weather on Saturday?
Yeah.
They were there on Sunday.
Yep.
Well, then I guess it's not on the fourth Sunday like I thought it was. Wasn't it?
He said more Saturday, because that made all the other Saturday months.
Never mind. Scratch that one.
Never mind, don't pay any attention to what...
Yeah, like everything else.
Don't pay attention to Saturday.
All right, well, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.